Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I am so excited to jump into today's crafting tutorial because I'm going to be showing you guys how to make your very own car freshies with Fringe. So if you want to see how I make my car freshies with Fringe, then keep watching. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to show you guys what you're going to need to do this craft. You're going to need some aroma beads. So I have some clear, unscented aroma beads here. You're also going to need some type of mica pigment powder to color your beads and some fragrance oil to scent your beads. Now, today I'm using a fragrance from the Flaming Candle. I love this company, but I do use a ton of other companies for my fragrances. I'm always trying new companies, but for today's video, we are using a scent from the Flaming Candle. You're also going to need a metal cookie cutter to bake your freshie in, or you can use an oven safe silicone mold if you have one of those. You're also going to need a roofing nail so that you can make a hole in your freshie for some string or cord or elastic to go through, whatever your preference is, which you're also going to need, and that's what this is right here. And then you're also going to need some scissors, not only to cut your string or cord, but to also trim your freshies. And then I also recommend getting some type of smell-proof bag for your freshie to be stored in after it is baked. And then you're also going to need a non-stick baking sheet to bake your car freshies on. And then for today's video, you're also going to need some fringe. So I have some black and some white fringe that we're going to be using to decorate our freshies today with. And I almost forgot, one of the most important tools that you're also going to need for this craft is your hot glue gun with some hot glue sticks. And as always, I will be sure to link all of the supplies that I used in today's video down below in the video description for you all. All right, I'm super excited to jump into this craft, so let's get started. All right, guys, so for today's video, I am going to show you guys how to scent and color your beads real quickly, but I do have some beads that are already ready to be baked. These have been curing for over a week now. As you can see, they don't stick to the jar at all. They don't stick to each other. So that's how you know when your beads are ready. But just real quick, I'm gonna show you guys how to scent and color your beads. In case you don't know, because maybe you're a beginner or maybe this is one of the very first car freshie tutorials that you are watching. In which case, if you are a beginner or this is one of the first freshie tutorials you are watching, then I highly recommend checking out my other freshie tutorials, which I will link that playlist up above for you guys now because I have a ton of freshie content, tutorials, tips and tricks, what not to do, how to decorate, the whole nine. So I'll be sure to have that link pop up on the screen, so if you guys want to check those out, then you can go do so. Okay, but let's go ahead and scent these beads. So I have 8 ounces of aroma beads here. Now some people will tell you that you have to weigh out your beads, and some others, like myself, will say you can do it by volume, which is what I've done. And when I say by volume, I mean I'm filling up my beads to the 8-ounce line on the mason jar. But if you want to weigh out your beads, then you can 100% do that. You'll just get a scale, put your mason jar on, zero it out so that it's not including the weight of your mason jar. And then you're going to pour aroma beads in the jar until your scale reads 8 ounces. But personally, I prefer the volume method just because number one, it's way easier to scoop some beads in there until it reaches, you know, the line that I'm measuring to, instead of actually getting out your scale and weighing out the beads little by little. Also, I've done a couple different videos where I compared the two side by side, and honestly, when you do the volume method, you're just getting a stronger freshie because it's less beads. I use the same amount of oil for both. When you weigh out 8 ounces of beads, it's a little more than when you do it 8 ounces by volume. So that just leads me to believe that because the volume method is less beads, it's just gonna be a stronger freshie. But like I said, to each their own, it's whatever your preference is. I personally want a freshie that's going to last a little bit longer. It's a little bit stronger. So I do mine with the volume method, but you can do whatever you prefer, obviously. So I always like to mention that because I've had people attack me in the past for doing it by volume instead of by the weight method, but there's more than one way to do things, you know what I mean? Anyway, so I just gotta say that for the newbies. So for every 4 ounces of aroma beads, you're gonna do 1 ounce of fragrance oil. So because I have 8 ounces of aroma beads by volume, I'm gonna be pouring in 2 ounces of fragrance oil, which is this entire bottle. But before I pour my fragrance oil in, I'm going to go ahead and add my mica pigment powder. So I'm just going to scoop just a little bit. A little goes a long way. Like, as you can see, like, I'm not even filling up this little tiny scoop here. And you guys will see what I mean by a little goes a long way in just a second. Okay, so again, for every 4 ounces of beads, it's 1 ounce of fragrance oil. So I have 8 ounces here. So I'm pouring in the entire 2-ounce bottle of fragrance oil. And then you're just gonna put your mason jar lid on, screw it tight, and then you're just gonna shake it up really well until all of that mica pigment powder and fragrance oil is evenly coated on all of the beads. And then as you can see, the beads are drenched in that oil. They're all colored evenly. So now I'm just going to set this jar somewhere, and every time I walk by it, I'm just going to flip it over or give it a little shake, because all of that mica pigment powder and fragrance oil will settle on the bottom of your jars. You just want to make sure that every time you walk by it, every couple hours or at least once a day, you just give it a little flip or a little shake there. But these will take several days to cure, and like I said, you just want to let these cure until your beads are completely dry, they don't feel oily. And like I said before, they will no longer stick to the jar. They don't stick to each other at all. That's how you know when they are ready to be baked. So I'm gonna let these set for about a week, and then these will be ready to be baked. But like I said, I am using some for today's video that are already cured and ready to go. Okay, so now that I've showed you guys how to color and scent your beads, now we're gonna get into the fun part and actually bake some Freshies. Okay, so anytime I use metal cookie cutters, I just recommend that you take a little bit of Pam or, you know, the non-stick cooking spray and just barely spritz the inside of your cookie cutter, and that will make pushing out your Freshies out of the cookie cutters so much easier when it's time to do that. So now I'm going to put my cookie cutters on my pan, and then I'm gonna put my roofing nail down, and this is going to create the hole in our Freshie for us to put our string in to hang them up later. So I'm just taking a little plastic spoon here, and I'm scooping out my beads to pour it into my cookie cutter. Okay, so now I'm ready to bake these Freshies. So I have my oven set to 300 degrees, and I'm gonna bake these for about 10 minutes or so. I always set my timer for 10 minutes because sometimes they're done within 10 minutes. Sometimes I gotta add a couple of extra minutes, but I'll just check them periodically every minute until they are done, which I'll show you. All right, guys, so the timer went off about 2 minutes ago. So these were in the oven for 12 minutes total. And a good way that I tell if my Freshies are done is very carefully, obviously, because these are super hot. If you just touch your Freshie, if the beads don't stick to your finger and come up with your finger when you touch them, then they're good. If they pull up with your finger, then it's not melted down enough and you need to bake them for a little bit longer. I would check them every minute after that. But as you can see, these don't stick to my finger. These are good to go. So I'm just gonna let these completely cool until they are cool to the touch, and we can pop them out of the cookie cutter molds. All right, guys, so my Car Freshies are completely cool now. So now we are ready to pop these out of our cookie cutter molds. So because I spray mine with a non-stick cooking spray, they just slide out so easily. I never have like misshapen cookie cutters before, so pro tip for sure. And same thing with my little cutout. I just put a little non-stick cooking spray around it, and it just slides right out. So now, as you can see, our Freshie has like these jaggedy, spiky edges. So what I like to do is trim those off. You don't have to do that at all. It's just my personal preference, just because I think it looks more finished once they're trimmed down. It just looks, you know, cleaner and neater. It just looks better in my opinion. So first I'm gonna take out this nail before I start trimming, and I just kind of push it around on all the sides just to loosen it. And then I just push down and then pull it out. So now we have a hole for our string to go through to actually hang our freshie, and now we are ready to trim it down. And I like to lay my cookie sheet down before I start cutting so that all of my scraps just go onto the cookie sheet, and then I can just dump it in the trash when I'm done, and it's less of a cleanup. Again, I'm just going to trim down the edges here, all of those spiky pieces. I just want it to be kind of uniform and flat, like all the way around. Okay, so now our freshie is all trimmed. As you can see, it looks so much better than what it did. So I'm going to pop out our other freshie now, and we're gonna do the exact same thing. Okay, so now that this freshie is all trimmed, now they are both ready to go and ready to be decorated. So now we are going to add our fringe to our freshies. And before I started trimming the freshies, I just turned on my cordless hot glue gun. It's like a rechargeable hot glue gun. I love this thing. So this has been preheating while we were cutting our freshies, so it is ready to go. I think I'm going to add, I'm gonna do white fringe on this like orange freshie, and then I'm gonna do the black fringe on this hot pink bull skull freshie. So we're just gonna do this orange one first. So the first thing that I am going to do is I'm just going to kind of line up the fringe and see how much I actually need to cut off, so that I can just cut it down to size and I'm not wasting any. And then I just cut right where I need it. So then now we have our fringe ready to be put on our freshie. So what I like to do is I just like to attach it right to the edge of the freshie here. So you'll be able to tell when you're looking at your fringe, but on one end, there is just like, typically it's like 1 or 2 threads that you just snip and you can pull, and then this will just become fringe and it's not all connected at the bottom. But then you'll notice on the other side that there are loops and threads that actually attach these all together. So this is the side that you're gonna wanna glue on your freshie. The side that just has like the 1 or 2 threads that are holding them in place, we're gonna trim that off, and I'll show you guys that in a second. So I just like to put the hot glue right on my freshie, and I put a decent amount on there, and then I'm just gonna take my fringe and I'm just going to line it up to my freshie there. And again, I'm putting that side where it's all sewn together down on there like so, and then I just press down my freshie to really get that hot glue to adhere to it, and then I'll just kind of pull it up as it's drying so that it doesn't, like, you know, stick to my pan. Okay, and so now that our fringe is attached to the freshie, now we are ready to pull out this thread down here, and you'll see what I mean in just a second. So you see how it's almost like fishing line, you can barely see it. So that was the little thread that was holding that together at the bottom, and there's actually 2 of those, but some of them only come with 1. And this bottom one typically doesn't come off as easy, at least this one that I get. So I just pull my threads away from it like so, because this one isn't just like a single piece of thread. You'll see what I mean in just a second. So this is the one that's on the bottom, and you see it's almost like a chain, and that's how they actually group all those together. So now our fringe is not attached and our freshie is done. Now I personally think that this fringe is a little bit too long for this freshie, so I'm just gonna trim it, but you don't have to. I'm just doing it for this particular one. So I just cut off about 1 inch. But now we are ready to add our string to this freshie, and then this freshie will be done. But look how cute that is now. So now we're gonna add our fringe to our bull skull here, and this one will be a little bit harder, but it's still pretty easy. And I only say it's gonna be a little bit harder just because this was one straight continuous piece So that was easy, whereas this one's got some curve to it. Okay, so again, we're just going to measure how much we need here by just kind of lining it around the edge there. And then we'll cut it so that we get the exact amount that we need and we're not wasting any. Okay, so this freshie obviously is gonna take a much longer piece because it's not just one little section like that. We're gonna be putting this fringe all around this freshie. So we're gonna do the exact same thing as before. So just figure out your ends, the end that is sewn all together really thickly, that's gonna be the part that you glue to your freshie, and then the part that only has like 1 or 2 threads on the bottom, that is obviously the bottom of the fringe. So again, I'm just going to put glue around my freshie. Now because this one is a larger area that we're gonna be putting the fringe on, I work in sections because the hot glue obviously cools and dries pretty quickly. So I'm just going to do a section at a time. And because this one has a curve to it, I obviously can't use the pan to get it to adhere to the hot glue. So I'm just using this other cookie cutter here, so I'm not burning my fingers on this hot glue. Okay, so there's one section done. So now I'm just gonna add glue to this side of the freshie, and then half of it will be done. Okay, and then last little piece here, we're just gonna add some glue to this last section. And then now we just need to pull that thread out at the bottom there. And this one is actually a thread and not like a piece of like fishing string. So you just pull all the way around so that all those strings are no longer connected. And now this freshie has fringe all around it, so cute. Okay, so now our freshies have some beautiful fringe on there. Now you could be done here, but again, I just like to go the extra mile and make mine look as best as I can. So you'll kind of notice, well, hopefully you guys can even see this on the camera. The fringe kind of like has like a little hump to it, and it just looks kind of messy. So what I like to do now is I have a straightener designated for my freshies. This isn't the straightener that I use for my hair. This is just a cheap straightener that I found online, and I use it on my fringe. So I don't have this all the way hot. I think I have this at like 300 degrees, and I will just grab the fringe kind of like right where it's at, and I'll just kind of straighten it just to make it look a little bit nicer and to kind of get that little hump out of there. But you guys will see what I'm talking about in just a second. Okay, so I've only done half of it so far, but I just wanted to show you guys the difference. So can you guys tell which side I've already straightened and which one I haven't? Because I feel like I can. This side is obviously the side that I have straightened so far. You see how this one's just kind of like a little more wild. So we're gonna finish straightening this and then we'll move on to the second one. Okay, so now that I have straightened my fringe, do you guys see how much better that looks? Like perfectly straight. It just looks so much cleaner. So now I'm just going to straighten the fringe on this other one, which this one will be super easy just because it's just that one section. Okay, so now this one is done as well, super easy. Now we are ready to add our elastic string onto our freshies so that we can hang them from our rear view mirror. So I'm just going to put my two ends together and then make a knot like so. And then I just try to pull the knot close to the ends there and then pull really tight so it doesn't come undone. So then I just put the elastic string through the hole that our nail was in and just kind of finagle it in there and and just push it through. So once you see it pop out the other side, you can just pull. So I'll just pull a tiny little loop from one side, push it towards the top of the Freshie, and then I just loop the side that's on the other side through there and pull. So then I have a loop here where they can just hang it from their rear view mirror, and then the Freshie can just hang from their rear view mirror like so. But look how good that looks. So cute. Just gives it like a little extra pizzazz. And of course, you know, if you sell Freshies, the more decoration you put on it, the better they look, the more you can sell them for. So just wanted to mention that. So we're gonna go ahead and add the other elastic to the other Freshie. So again, I just have a little loop there, and then I'm just going to put the rest of the string through that loop and pull. And then I always like to just trim the little frayed ends off of the tip there. And now we are done with our Freshies. Now you can, all right guys, so there are our Freshies. I think they look so cute. These are very popular with customers. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, please let me know by giving me a big thumbs up. If you have any other questions or comments, feel free to drop a comment down below. I would love to hear what you guys think. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, be sure to click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any other crafting tutorials or other small business related content. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.